Hey everybody, this is DJsBB. Tonight I'll be doing another Ambient evening stream, this time of the game Proteus, which I've actually played on this channel previously, but I've decided to revisit the game tonight, and hopefully this experience tonight with the game, it's pretty much a similar game regardless of what we do with it, but because the islands in this game are randomly generated, the environment that we explore in this playthrough of the game will be at least a little bit different from the playthrough I did of this game a month or so ago, I believe. So let's get into it. I didn't realize you can make sounds in the menu here by moving over the stars. It's pretty nice. So I did adjust some of the settings a little bit in the options menu here, so I haven't actually tested the gameplay with these features turned on, but I turned on a crosshair, which I think will be in like the middle of the first person camera view, which it says in here that it can help with motion sickness, so I'm going to turn on the crosshair this time because I know that at least helps Emoto and could possibly help other viewers who experience motion sickness when watching first person games. So I'll have that feature turned on, and then I also, I assume by the cursor keys, it means the arrow keys on the keyboard. So I'm going to have keyboard rotation through keyboard keys turned on in this playthrough, because I'm hoping that'll be at least a little bit less, like the movements will be less jerky than using the mouse to turn the camera around. So I'm assuming that it'll work that way, that I can use WASD for the character movement, and then the arrow keys on my keyboard in order to turn the camera around. I'm hoping they'll be a little bit easier to watch than using the mouse to control the character. So let's enter the game. So we click on the island here. So the game should be loading a new island right now. Oh, did the... I think the game might have just crashed. Yep, I am becoming more and more sure that's what just happened, because the game should be displaying like a loading menu and playing music right now. Well, that's... Alright, I'm gonna go to my transition screen right here, and I'm gonna go try to fix that real quick. Alright, well, I'm not sure what happened there just now, but we're back with the game, so let's see, and... this is what we want to see. Okay, that's much better. Okay, so you can see we have that little dot in the middle, so this is the crosshair that's floating up right now, so... and let's see, is this... yeah, okay. So I am able to use the arrow keys to control the camera. I think that'll be a little bit easier to watch than using the mouse. And I also have the sensitivity turned very low, so the camera movements are going to be very slow. Oh, this is an interesting looking island, actually. It's been a couple years since I played this game regularly, so don't really remember all the types of islands you can get, but there are definitely some really interesting ones that you can find. This is definitely not the look of a typical island you would see in this game with all this purple. We have some friends here. Or maybe not friends because they just ran away from me. This is a very purple island, wow. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this before. We have a very big tree here in the middle. There's actually a feature in the options menu, I believe, that after you've completed at least one playthrough of this game, you're able to toggle some sort of setting that I think it's like generate wild islands or something like that. And basically it you're able to toggle the chances of getting kind of a more unusual island type like this. So you can set it to like not ever happen at all and all the islands will be like completely normal. Or you can make it kind of like a medium chance, or you can set it to very high if you've played through the game before and want a more unusual island type next time. So this will be interesting because I'm not really sure what to expect from an island type like this. I'm glad that this is what we got though, because I was saying that I hope we get a little bit something different in this playthrough since I'm revisiting this game on my channel. And this is definitely not the typical visual you would see from this game. So I'm chasing some chickens up the hill here. Looks like we got that kind of, that castle-looking rock over there. And there's another rock over here on the hill. I think there's like multiple castle-shaped rocks, or maybe those were like trees, or I'm not totally sure. So I guess for those who haven't seen this game before, I can explain how it works. Basically, this is just a very relaxing ambient walking simulator game that takes place on a randomly generated island that's different every time you play. And so basically all we do in this game is just kind of walk around and explore the environment. There are little animals that you can interact with, as you saw earlier. There's no interact button in this game. There's no key or button that you press in order to like touch things and interact with them. But a lot of the landscape features like rocks and animals and trees and some other things will trigger different music or sound effects if you approach them. And so there are certain things like little stone rocks that we might see in this playthrough of the game where there's not a key that you have to press to interact with them, but if you walk like straight into them or past them, then it'll cause certain sound effects to play. And yeah, that's basically the gist of it. And it's daytime right now, but eventually the sun will set, so we'll get to see this landscape at nighttime as well. These trees over here are blue. That's a really interesting color. And we have another one of these kind of castle things. Oh, it looks like it's getting really foggy. The sensitivity of the camera movement is like so slow and subtle that it's honestly kind of annoying to me, but if that's what it takes to make this game easier for people to watch, then I'll take that. It is very foggy today though, wow. So much for being able to check out the island. We're not even able to see the island with how much fog is out here right now. I kind of wish I turned the sensitivity a little bit higher than this. Well, I guess we can still walk through the fog, and I think if we go down low enough, we can still see everything down here. The fog mostly just makes it so that you can't really see much from the hilltops. Another one of these. Wow, how many of these are there? I feel like in a normally generated island, you really only see one of these little, I don't know what to call this, like kind of a tree stump, tree trunk. These little tree trunks that kind of play a different kind of music. You only see like one of those in a typical island, but we're seeing those kind of everywhere in this one. Wild island indeed. So yeah, this game is a really simple game, but it's one that I find really relaxing. I first played it around, I want to say late 2013, early 2014, around my first year of college, and I found this game because of a YouTube channel that introduced it to me, but I used to play it from time to time, like, particularly kind of later in the evening, like not too long before bed, kind of like what I'm doing right now, just because I find the visuals and the music of this game to be very calming. And I've chosen to revisit this game for today's stream because I wanted to do another Ambient evening stream this week. And wow, this is really nice too. Well, it's blue and purple and orange. So I wanted to do another Ambient evening stream this week. And some games that I had planned for this series were the games Flower and Journey, which I purchased together on Steam, but though those games seem like they would be a very good fit for this kind of relaxing game stream, I did some testing of those games, like some test recordings through OBS, and unfortunately it doesn't seem that my computer can play and stream those games together smoothly. The money for purchasing them on Steam isn't necessarily wasted, because I think those games will work fine if I'm just playing them on my own. But recording or streaming those games is a bit too demanding for my laptop, and so unfortunately I won't be able to play those games for Twitch. And that makes me really sad, because those both seem like really fascinating games, and I want to be able to share my very first experience playing both of them through my Twitch channel, but I'm basically not able to record or stream those games at all without it basically becoming a slideshow. Like, the game gets stuck every couple of frames and it's just like completely unwatchable to the viewer, so those games don't work, so I had to scrap the plans for both of those. So I'll have to stick to streaming more low demand, kind of graphically simpler games like this one. This game is very simple graphically, but I think it's still really pretty to look at. Kind of like the game A Short Hike that I played recently on this channel. That game was also very graphically simple and like colorful and pixelated, so the graphics of these games are very pretty, but they also leave a lot to the imagination. They just kind of give you these abstract shapes of animals and trees, oceans, landscapes. Oh, there are those statues up on the hill over there. Those statues are actually one of the cooler landmarks in this game. Especially as we get kind of closer to the end of our adventure here. So here's an example of the sound effects rock. So I'm not actually pushing any keys as I interact with it. All I'm doing is just walking into it, basically. Or walking past it, but very close. And those chickens are kind of defying gravity right now. That's interesting. And now I can defy gravity with them. I actually walked along an incline that steep kind of in this way on a camping trip when I was in high school. It did not end very well. I was wearing a heavy backpack and I fell over and brushed my face against some stinging nettle, rather. That didn't come out very well the first time, but that was not a very great experience. I had a rash on my face for the rest of the weekend, so I do not recommend hiking on those kinds of inclines. Camping stores with digits, Phoebe. Hopefully the little crosshair here in the center, or the reduced motion sensitivity, will be helpful for people with motion sickness issues watching this game. I mean, I suppose even if this game is difficult to watch, I guess you could just like listen to it and have it like playing in the background or something. I find the sounds of this game to be very relaxing to listen to as well. I actually have the soundtrack for this game, which came out on Bandcamp a couple years ago. A number of years after the original game came out, I was actually waiting on the soundtrack for this game to come out for a long time. And these rocks don't seem to be making sounds right now. Oh, well, there's a sound just now. I'm actually kind of surprised by how long the daytime has been in this segment of the game. Usually there's a sunset pretty early on, but maybe I'm wrong. I feel like... You can actually adjust that in the options too, but I think a daytime cycle is usually around 15 minutes in this game, so we're actually probably pretty good on timing, and we'll be seeing the nighttime segment fairly soon. These look like tombstones over here. A lot of tombstones. Well, there's kind of a parallel to a short hike, I guess, which could become the, along with Night in the Woods, can become kind of the defining game of this channel, right? This is interesting. These sounds. We have some frog friends here in the graveyard. That is a very steep hill above me. Just how steep is that? Steep enough that it's taken quite a while to look up at it, and there's a... Oh, that's our sun right there, isn't it? A pink sun and a green sky. I'd like to keep chasing you, friend, but it takes me about an entire half a minute to look up completely. Whoever this being or entity we're playing as in this game seems to have some neck problems. And oh wow, this frog is really becoming one with the hill here. And so am I probably. Oh, we're back up to the circle of statues. Oh, is that the sun right there? Or that's probably the moon, actually. What color is the sun? I might not have looked hard enough at the sky earlier. But I think we're entering nighttime right now. It'll be interesting to see how this game changes as we go on with this kind of unusual color scheme for this island. It's almost a little bit hard to tell what time it is because the colors of the sky and the scenery are so unusual in this playthrough. This is a really nice view right here. So going forward, I don't know if I really have a particularly fixed schedule for these streams, but because the summer is basically over and I'm not going to have quite as many holidays or opportunities to take vacations going forward, these ambient evening streams might become kind of the majority of my stream content for a while. I'm not usually able to stream on weekends, and I can't really stream on weekdays unless I'm able to take time off from work, which really won't be happening very often for the next couple months, except for some 3-day weekends here and there. So I won't really make any promises because I kind of just stream when I'm both available and I'm kind of up to doing it, but it might be pretty realistic to say that it would be nice to do these ambient evening streams maybe at least once a week or so. And the thing about these is that streaming in the evenings, it's not a convenient time to watch live for most of my regular audience, but it is a time that is more flexible for me because streaming on weekday evenings is something I can do pretty much anytime I like. It's more so the regular stream hours that happen during the evenings in US time for most of my viewing audience. For my audience, I usually tend to stream during my daytime, and those are the kinds of streams I'm not going to be able to do regularly because of working hours. But along with relaxing game streams, there'll be some level up grinding streams for Pokemon Vietnamese Crystal because I'm near the end of that game now, and since I have at least one holiday coming up next month, which would be in September, which actually starts September 1st is tomorrow in my time zone. I guess it's already August 31st for Pacific viewers as well, but it's the evening on the 31st here. Anyway, so I'll probably do some level grinding streams for Pokemon fairly soon. That way, during my next long weekend in September, I'll be able to beat the game and get that finished. This is a very foggy island that we have today. See, I think we are well into the nighttime sequence now. Yeah, I guess so. So hopefully these ambient evening streams and games like this, even if I revisit them, are an interesting thing for people to watch. I hope they showcase kind of a different sort of game that a lot of people, including my viewers, wouldn't necessarily play too often. They're games that focus more on relaxation and kind of an immersive experience than on just like the challenge of the gameplay. And that's something I really enjoy from time to time. And I think they're a kind of game that also have their place in the realm of mental health as well. Kind of a part of the reason why I'm playing this game tonight, and why I might make ambient game streams like this a regular thing going forward, is that I've been struggling pretty immensely with mental health things lately, and that's not a subject I really like to talk about too often, but I've been having some kind of mental health struggles lately, and like issues with like lack of motivation, kind of a feeling of being stuck with the way that my lifestyle, and of course the lifestyles of everyone else, have had to change during this pandemic. It's kind of put a lot of opportunities and a lot of aspects of my life on hold for a very prolonged stretch of time now. And at times it's kind of left me feeling like isolated or directionless. Unmotivated and stuck. So kind of taking time to play more relaxing and calming games like this that kind of get me out of my head a bit and more focused on the present and are relaxing into the present is something that can be really beneficial for me, and I hope it's beneficial for others watching as well. These are some really pretty colors in this game today. It's a different look to it for sure. Oh wow, where am I standing right now? Am I in the... Oh, I am in the circle of statues. This is interesting because I feel like this isn't really a sequence that you usually get to see until much later in the game. So that could just be a feature of the unusual island that we have today. A lot of fog to walk through in this game today. Let's see, am I walking toward what I think I'm walking toward right now? I guess we'll see. Maybe not. Oh. It's just a sound effect rock, okay. Another thing that I like about this game for kind of relaxing ambient evening streams like this is that it's very easygoing. And there is kind of a beginning, a middle, and an end to this game, but there's not really any particularly challenging task along the way. And that's kind of part of why I chose to play this game and revisit it again tonight, is that it's a game that I'm already familiar with, and I know it won't present any particularly challenging obstacles as I play it, so I can kind of just coast along and talk as I immerse myself in the game. The thing about streaming sometimes is that it can be a little bit frustrating sometimes if I feel like as I'm playing a game like I'm messing up too often or not really presenting the game as well as I feel I could be. From time to time when I have an audience, I can kind of get self-conscious about that kind of thing, about just messing up too much and like making watching the game not as good of an experience for the viewer as I'd like it to be. It might sound kind of silly because all I'm really basically doing by streaming is just playing a video game and other people are watching it, but at times they can feel kind of like a performance, and so there are times where I can kind of feel self-conscious and feel like I'm not really performing at the game well enough, or like bringing the fullest of my personality into the game, I guess. like starting a stream and then realizing I'm not really in the mood to do that at that moment. Like I'm partway into the stream and I suddenly realize I'm just not really in that great of a mood that day, and then feeling like the mood I'm in at that moment will kind of like harm the viewing experience a bit, or kind of make the game less of an experience than it could have been if I had played it on a different day. So let's follow this light right here. I think we might be seeing some progress here. I think we're on an island where progress is going to happen a lot more slowly than it would on a normal island. We're a little over a half hour in now, and I feel like the game has definitely been moving slower. I see it now, okay. If we see those kind of flickering lights that look like stars but kind of like on the surface level over in the distance, that's what we want to walk toward right now. But yeah, this does seem to be a longer adventure than we would normally get in this game, which is good and bad. It's good because it means that we have more time to explore and check out what there is to see in this playthrough of the game. The negative is that it's already kind of late in the evening, and I don't know if I want to see the adventure all the way to the end if it's going to take a really long time, unfortunately. I'll do my best to play through the game to the end, though, just to see what there is here, because I am curious to see how the landscape will continue changing. So what we just saw there with that kind of circle of stars that we walked into is a change of the season. So when we started the game, it was kind of a spring environment, and now we've entered the summer segment of the game. And again, the color scheme of the island we're on this time around is a lot different from what we'd usually get. So there's a lot of purple in the last segment. It looks like there's a lot of blue plants in summertime today. Oh, do we have some little crab friends here? We do. Hi, crab friends. They're very percussive crab friends. So we have some sound stones over here. Or not. Maybe they don't necessarily play in every season. They might not. Oh, those are some bees over here. Bees can actually be a little bit scary in this game, and I don't know if I really want to demonstrate that right now. But I guess for the sake of showing what there is to show in this game, let's go toward the bees right now. Hi, bees. Hi, bee friends. Would you like to, Alright, so if we approach the bees, we can move a lot faster than usual because we're running away from bees, so we can do a Proteus speedrun. Except we're not, because the adventure seems to be much slower this time around, so these are not optimal conditions for a Proteus speedrun. We're just here to chill with our percussive crab friends. And explore the environment a bit. I'm having a very hard time talking tonight. There's some bugs here. Something like that. Because it's summertime, what comes to mind is mosquitoes, but that might not be what that is. We have kind of the menu music if we stand in the water here. Where are those sounds coming from? Oh, we have a score right there. Wow, these are very unusual sound effects. These are not something you'd normally hear in a playthrough of this game, so we've really discovered a mystery in this playthrough. I wonder if there's any actual difference in the timing of the sunset with the seasons in this game. I think with the options menu, the timing of the sunset is typically around 15 minutes into each segment. I suppose realistically you could make the sunset happen a bit quicker in autumn and then later in the summer and fall, but I don't think that's really the case. I think it's pretty much even throughout each segment of the game. Because as I said earlier, this game does flow in season-based segments. More bees, huh? I once had to walk through a swarm of bees. That's another Boy Scout story right there. And that one did not end well either. Oh, there's more Proteus speedrunning right here. Yeah, there's one time on a Boy Scout camping trip, we were taking a hike, and then on the way back, a swarm of bees had appeared, and our youth leaders told us, if you don't bother them, they won't bother you, so let's just walk right through it. I tried to follow the group in doing so, and within about 5 seconds, I was stung once on the forehead and once on the pinky finger of my left hand. And the forehead wasn't so bad, but in the pinky, the stinger actually got stuck in my finger. And so by the time we were able to remove that stinger, it had kind of worked its magic already, and so my pinky swelled up to about 1.5 times its normal size for about a day or so. I guess this is kind of a wilderness game, and it's bringing out some of my my nature stories, childhood nature stories with Digits BB. Let's see what fall brings us, so I can tell a nature story about that season as well. This is some nice music we get on the hilltops here. The atmosphere of this game is something I've always found very calming, and why I came back to it from time to time in college. They're the types of people who like games that are more task-based, more action-based, who don't really enjoy the kind of walking simulator games like this, but I find it to be a pretty interesting genre. Other walking simulators tend to have like a story to them, and like they like follow a certain narrative from beginning to end. And because of that, games like that tend to be like very impactful on the initial playthrough of the story and like the twists and turns it might take along the way. That makes it so games like that tend to not really have all that much replay value. You kind of just play them once, see the story, and then from there there's not much else to do with it once you've seen the story once. The Beginner's Guide is a good example. I've played that once on this channel recently. But with this game, I think it lends itself well to multiple playthroughs. Kind of just for the relaxation factor alone. One thing I did when I played this game kind of several times over back in like 2013 or so is that as I'm doing tonight, I kind of just played it like later in the evening just to kind of relax before bed. But something I would do to kind of give myself a task in this game was that if you press like, I think like F5 or something like that on the keyboard of a typical computer, it takes a Steam screenshot. And what I would do is I would kind of just try to find kind of unusual islands like this one, or certain features on the island, like creatures I hadn't seen before, landscape features I hadn't seen before, or take screenshots of them. And that was kind of my way of engaging with the game more in successive playthroughs. So it was kind of like a, I don't know, it was like making this game into like Pokemon Snap or something. Making like taking photographs a part of the gameplay. It's like we have a special friend down here who gets some really mad air. Did you see that? Air and distance. Probably gonna get all the way to that tower in the distance with the next jump. Well, it didn't quite jump in that direction, but got about that far, right? Yeah, all the way over here. See if I can bring him to that tower over there. Man, look at those jumps, dude. If I could jump like that, every morning I'd just leave my apartment, take 2 jumps, and I'd be at work already. There's our statue friends over there. Oh, look at that. The sun is blue. That's like a total palette swap almost. Ooh, I guess we're not supposed to look too closely at the sun, huh? That's what that sound is making me think, but the sun is like a shade of sky blue, so that's a bit backwards. A lot of bees on this island too, so that's a little bit scary. That bee sting story I told earlier was actually definitely not the only bee related story I have from my Boy Scout adventures as a kid. It's the only time I got stung by bees, but it was not the only time I've encountered bees on camping trips. Some of the campgrounds I went to as a kid actually had very serious bee problems. I actually used to be like terrified of bees when I was a younger kid. I think because I had like gotten stung by one like when I was very young, but I went on a week-long camping trip when I was 12 to a campground in Idaho. And there was such an obnoxious number of bees by the end of that week that I really wasn't afraid of bees anymore at that point. I just really did not like them and found them very annoying. Because they were just up in your business all the time. We have two jumpy friends over here. Looks like they're having a jumpy friends meeting. See, if I walk toward them, at this angle, will they jump in separate directions? Wow. I can't even see where either of them landed because they jumped apart so far. So there's some normal jumps right there. Those are hops. Let's jump at the end, but this guy mostly just hops. We hear more percussive crab friends, right? Percussive crab friends. Anything special over here across the water? Some nice chill loading music. Oh, this might actually be around where I started from, right? Because we have those bugs right there. Or maybe not. I'm not completely sure how big the environment can get in this game. Obviously it's not limitless, but I'm not really sure how many kind of mini islands are out here like this. Where is that music coming from? Is there a creature that's doing that? Oh, it's probably the squirrel, right? A lot of percussive crab friends in this playthrough. Looks like we're getting pretty close to the sunset now. Let's see if I can find the sun. Oh, there it is. Yeah, it looks like it's starting to go down now. Let's see, is this, are we standing in the circle of statues right now? Maybe not. That's just kind of what I assume when I'm on top of a hill and the music kind of changes or quiets down a bit. But I don't think that's where we're standing right now. I think, judging by how long I've been streaming at this point, it seems like the island we've generated today has day lengths that are twice as long as usual. So instead of the days being about 15 minutes long, they're about a half hour long. Which means that this stream might be going longer than I expected it to today, but that's okay, and I think as we continue forward, I'll make my judgment call as to whether I want to see this stream through to the end or not. I try to go to bed fairly early in the weekdays just to make sure I get enough sleep before work the next day. Ambient evening games like this have their place, but getting adequate sleep also plays a very important role in maintaining mental health, so that's something I try to make a priority. There's the statue friends over there. Probably no effects from the statues yet, because the sky isn't full of stars yet. So I guess because I'm revisiting this game tonight and I have kind of a spare moment with the nighttime here, I can talk a bit about the channel and stream goings going forward. So I don't have any definite plans about what ambient games I'll do next after tonight. As I said earlier, unfortunately I had to scrap plans to do Flower and Journey for this channel because neither of those games could run smoothly enough on my computer, at least for streaming purposes. I can play those games on my own time and they'll probably run smoothly enough on my computer, but for streaming they just don't work without getting a choppy and unwatchable slideshow. But I can play those games on my own time and I suppose share my thoughts on them. Nick will most likely be playing Journey on his channel at some point. I don't know about Flower. I think Nick also mentioned that he wanted to stream the game Flower at some point, but it's not really optimized on the Steam version of the game, so even he wasn't able to run it smoothly on his hardware. Or maybe that was a couple years ago when he tried to stream that game, so maybe if he tried on his current setup, it'd run a bit smoother. So, for now I'll be looking for other Ambient games, and my itch.io bundle, because I have so many games from that, will be a source for looking for more stuff. Honeyboy just mentioned Ori and the Blind Forest, which is actually a game that's on my Steam wishlist, I believe, and something I've wanted to check out for a while. I've heard good things about that game. And speaking of which, I'll definitely be revisiting A Short Hike sometime in the near future. A Short Hike will be revisited as a normal daytime stream hours game. Because the next time I play A Short Hike, I want to make sure that my regular viewers will be able to join me live when I play through that game, and we can try to work together to see like all of the content there is in that game the next time we play it. We can give the characters some like goofy voices and things like that too if we're playing it together. So those are the plans I have for that game. As I said earlier, Vietnamese Crystal is pretty much, I need to do some level grinding streams in the evenings, but there really only needs to be one more regular hour stream of Vietnamese Crystal so we can beat the final battle of that game. And then that game will be finished, and that was kind of my long-term project that I've been working on for a while, because I started that game on my birthday in May. Got one of these star sequences with the statues here. And let's see what else is on the agenda. Well, one of the future stream plans that I was actually thinking about today is that I've played through Night in the Woods 3 times on my channel thus far. But one idea that came up recently is that I figured out that I'm actually able to go into the language settings on Steam, or rather for that game specifically, and I could switch the language for Night in the Woods to Japanese. And for those who don't know, I live in Japan currently, and I can speak and read Japanese fairly fluently, I guess. I guess I'm kind of modest about it, but like, generally, well, I do have to use the dictionary fairly frequently. Like, I can play through video games in Japanese without a problem. And actually, my first playthrough of Night in the Woods was in Japanese, because while that game was made by an American/Canadian game studio, the first time I played the game Night in the Woods was I bought it from the Nintendo Switch eShop without realizing that because I was buying it from the Japanese eShop, that meant that that game that I bought was the Japanese localization of it, and that I wasn't on the Switch version. You're actually not able to change the language back to English. So the first time I played through the game Night in the Woods was actually in Japanese, and now I figured out I'm actually able to play that game in Japanese on Steam as well. And so one idea I've had is to experiment with doing kind of like a live translation experience with that game. I actually got the idea because I was looking up some videos of A Short Hike, that game, and I just happened to stumble across a video on YouTube of what appeared to be a native Japanese speaker translating that game. So he was playing the game in English and basically just like, as he went through the game line by line, like talking to characters and stuff, he would read the lines out loud to himself, and then translate the lines into Japanese on the spot for his audience. And I was wondering if doing that same sort of thing for Night in the Woods, of playing it in Japanese and then translating it to English on the spot, would be an interesting thing for my audience, and my friends seem to agree that would be kind of a fun thing to do, especially for a game that most of my audience is familiar with already, and playing it in Japanese would kind of have like another way of experiencing the game together. So it'd be a fun challenge for me of like playing through the game in Japanese and translating things on the spot. The language in that game is very advanced, so it's an interesting challenge to be able to read all the in-game dialogue in Japanese and then translate back to English on the spot. So that's an upcoming plan I have, and it might be the next long-term thing I have after Vietnamese Crystal is done. And I can even do interesting twists on it. Like, I was thinking of how I go about that game. A couple other people in my friend group are also fairly fluent in Japanese, but others don't really know any Japanese at all. And so one thing I thought about doing was like using playing that game as an opportunity to do something like for example, have like a Japanese word of the day that I'll choose, like a Japanese word that's used fairly frequently in the in-game dialogue, and like teach the people watching the game that day like what, how to recognize that word and what it means. And they have the context of how it's used in the game to go with that. So I've been thinking about interesting ways to present that game as I play the Japanese localization of it. Let's see, other games going forward. There are a couple games in my Steam library that I actually haven't played myself yet, but I've heard are interesting narrative games that I might play for the channel. Among those are Brothers: A Tale of Two Sons, which I've had in my Steam library for a while and just haven't gotten around to playing yet. Another one that I just got is a game called Firewatch, which I haven't played, but I heard was a good one, like a kind of like narrative walking simulator game. And it was on sale on Steam recently, so I just picked it up. And for those games, I'm debating whether to like play them on my own time first to like familiarize myself with them and decide if I want to play them on stream, rather than doing my first initial blind playthrough as a stream thing. I guess I'll think about it more and decide what to do with that. The nighttime in spring in this game was very green. In the summertime it's very red. I'm curious what fall will be. Fall is actually like probably the most, well, I don't know, I was about to say the most visually interesting season in this game, but that might not entirely be true, but I'm curious to see what fall will look like on this island. And I imagine the nighttime sequence will be over fairly soon, so we'll be able to find out. Looks like the fog is starting to clear. I think we're starting to see some of these flickering lights, so I can try to follow these and see if it'll bring us where we need to go. Or maybe not, they're kind of flickering everywhere, aren't they? But I can probably just stand at the top of a hill, and from there I can see where the lights are trying to guide us. There's the statues over there, so that's kind of where we came from earlier. Oh, am I standing near an animal right now? Let's see. Oh man, I turned so slowly. This was intentional because I have the motion speed or the sensitivity turned down as low as I can possibly go. Is that tree trunk right there the reason for the music? No, there's like an animal like right next to me, isn't there? It looks like I've turned the long way around. There it is. That is the source of the music. This friend right here went all the way into the water. My voice sounds kind. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. I don't think that's really a word I've heard used to describe the sound of my voice before, but I'll take that compliment. That's nice. I don't really think of my voice as being like a very good like ASMR or like audiobook kind of voice, but I've certainly heard voices that lend themselves to this kind of like ambient game a bit better than mine, but I do what I can with the voice I have. Let's see, I think I had the flickering lights guided me just a second ago. Oh gosh, I wish I could turn a bit faster. Let's see, is that it? Are those bugs, or is that the little stars? Oh, those are the stars, I believe. So we are going the right way right now. I actually don't think I realized until this playthrough that you can follow these little stars this early. I feel like in other playthroughs of this game, I've usually just noticed like the little circle, like the change of the seasons thing. I just noticed the circle like after it's already appeared, but this could be because the the time elements of this game are moving like half as slow or half as fast with this kind of unusual island that we have in this playthrough, so that might be why I'm noticing the time changes happening. So here we go, this is what we're looking for, so we're going to go into the fall or the autumn sequence now. Alright, so that was summer. And a long summer it was. And now we're in autumn. And unfortunately these nice bug friends that we made earlier are not suited for this kind of climate, so they are... looks like they're dying off now. So the summer is very blue and purple. Oh, this is a tree stump right here, isn't it? I guess so. I thought this was just like a bush or something I was walking over, but we bump into it if we walk too close. The autumn is kind of a slow and quiet sequence in this game, and it has, I think, my favorite music in this game's soundtrack. It looks like it's starting to rain right now. And the rain adds a little bit more ambience to the game's sound effects, which is nice. Looks like there's not quite as much wildlife in the fall as there was in some of the other seasons. I think these kind of mushroom-looking plants were there in the spring, but they kind of like they move when you approach them at the beginning of the game. Looks like the plants here are just kind of sitting around. I like the blue look of the leaves on this island. I've had unusual island generations in past playthroughs of this game, like years ago, but I don't really remember like what color schemes or different features I had. But I think before I started playing this game tonight, it said I had like around 9.5 hours of playtime total in this game before loading it up today, so that's a handful of playthroughs for sure. I don't know if there are any like this that take twice as long as a normal playthrough. This has been a very long one, but we're pretty far along now, so I think I'll see this one to the end. I was looking forward to what fall would look like with this color scheme. And now I'm kind of curious to see what winter will look like as well. This has been a very calm fall, not too much happening in the daytime here, but let's see. Oh, this is, I think we see a circle of stones over here, which I think is what we'll be coming back to change the season later. But I think actually even in a normal playthrough of the game, daytime in the fall is like, the music is very calm and it's very like ambient, but there's not too much that happens in the daytime in fall. But in the nighttime, there can be some interesting things to see. Oh, are those percussive frog or crab friends? Where are they? There they are. Percussive crab friends. Ooh, their sounds are different too. So those friends are still around. Well, I'm glad that we got an unusual island for this playthrough tonight, because this is definitely different from how the game looked the first time I played the game for this channel. Which is kind of funny because I almost thought of just not streaming this game tonight because... And people will be able to see on the highlight if they're watching it back, but... When I first started the stream, I was about to load up the game and the game actually crashed. Like as soon as I tried to like, just start a playthrough from like the loading screen, it just froze on a black screen. I had to close the game and I was worried that would happen again, so... I thought about just ending the stream and discarding the broadcast because I'd only been going for like 3 or 4 minutes when that crash happened, but I decided to just restart the game and just give it another go, and this is what we got, so that's fun. Oh, there's the sun up there. If I stare too closely at the sun, will the game get all weird again? I guess not. I guess it just does that in the summer. We have kind of a road or a path here, so let's see where this leads. It just leads to more trees, huh? I guess that's about what you could expect from Proteus, right? Well, there's another one right here. Past some purple leaves. Let's see, is the sun starting to set? I think so. Let's go find a nice hill to enjoy the sunset from the hilltop. Well, here's our statue friends up here. I guess this is a place to enjoy the sunset then. Alright, I actually left and came back from getting a glass of water just now because this playthrough has been going a lot longer than I thought it would. Thankfully, this is the kind of game that you can just kind of step away from for a moment and let the season and the daytime play itself out for a bit. Is this a giant tree right here? Is that what that is? Oh, it's one of the tower things that plays that music. Speaking of music, this is interesting. Where am I standing right now? Just on top of an ordinary hill. I have this like chorus of angels singing in the background, which is interesting. Oh, I am standing by something, aren't I? Oh no, that's just playing the music. Like the kind of bagpipe-ish music, but the singing is just coming from the hilltop, I guess. Oh, what's this? There's a house out here, or like a cabin? Didn't notice that in the other seasons. What's that about? A cabin in the woods can be kind of spooky in movies and other video games, but I think in Proteus, this cabin is just another friend of ours. Cabin friend. I guess we can chill here with the cabin friend for a bit. The sun is setting, so it's probably going to get dark fairly soon. Oops. Sorry about that if you just heard a thud. It's me accidentally hitting my table. Oh, there's the blue sun setting over the ocean. think that sound is probably the bugs dying. I think that's what that noise is. There's always a little bit of suspense in this game when you have the motion sensitivity so low. Because it takes like a full 10 seconds to turn myself around 180 degrees. Oh, is this... I thought that was bugs, but these are molehills right here. Well, that's interesting. Didn't know there was moles digging around in Proteus. Well, there you go, mole friends. This is a nice view too. The colors in this game are always really pretty to look at, whether it's the normal colors or the kind of unusual palette swaps that we're seeing in the game today. A lot of stars out tonight too. And that music is telling me that we're in the heart of the nighttime right now. Oh, I think we're seeing movement of the stars over here. Oh, yep, we were actually standing right by the circle of time. So let's advance to the next season. Oh, wow, this is a very eerie looking winter. Yeah, I like the color of the other seasons, but I don't know about this red looking winter. That's kind of unsettling. But I guess let's take a look around while we're here. This This has been a very long playthrough so far, with all the past seasons taking about twice as long for the day to end as a normal playthrough, which is a feature of the game when you get a weird island like we've had today. I'm curious if the winter will be longer than usual as well, but even then, in the real world, winters have the shortest days, so I guess we'll see if that's the case in Proteus as well. An interesting view of the skyline here. We can walk around a bit, but I think for the most part, or maybe completely, in winter there's no wildlife to be found really. Most of the trees have lost their leaves by this point. And I don't know if we'll be seeing any of our animal friends around. Kind of like in Animal Crossing, there's not really very much wildlife or creatures to be seen in the winter. Did I see a shooting star just now? We're hearing some kind of music out here, which to me seems like signs of life. Might be gone though. Here again, I was hearing like some bells or something. The peaceful blue or purple spring, summer, and autumn have given way to the creepiest winter. But the colors are starting to change again, so we're not so red anymore. Now the winter is very purple. This music is interesting. The music along the water. Oh, this is where we started, isn't it? Actually, no, maybe it's not. I was about to say this is the circle of rocks where the time circle appears, but this isn't that. This is the cemetery by the looks of it. which I think is where we met some of our animal friends in the previous seasons, but they are nowhere to be found in winter, are they? Oh, and there's our statues. Statues are kind of a mystery in this game, aren't they? I guess if one were to do an interpretation of this game and what it's supposed to mean or represent, if anything, those statues would play an interesting role in that. Looks like the fog is coming in now, which means the day is over soon. Oh, look, we got a big tree over here. This is the, we saw this mysterious big tree and the other playthrough we did of this game on my channel. This big tree with some interesting music. I wonder whatever became of that cabin that we saw in the autumn. I don't know if that ever appears in winter. Might be gone. Oh, is this where we started? This might be the circle of stones right here. Or actually, no, this is the line. The line of sound effect stones that we've seen in every other season so far. I guess it would be possible to kind of map this landscape out if somebody wanted to, because you do see common features like that in every season. And so you could also trace if things like the cabin are present in every season too. The water changes color there, which kind of gives me a feeling that this is like a dead end. There's probably no more land that way, right? Playing this game for this long is making me actually pretty tired. I'll probably be going to bed very shortly after this playthrough is over. And it does seem like the winter is also taking longer than usual, like the other seasons have. So, more time to explore, I guess. Oh, and it's actually starting to snow over here. I mean, the ground has been covered in snow, but we're seeing it actively snowing now. Looks like the sky is getting a bit darker now. I think the music is changing a bit too. Ooh, it is like dead silent now. Oh. I think it's about that time in the game, huh? Yeah, our feet are definitely not touching the ground anymore. The world is down there and we are up here floating away. But if I get to some higher ground over here, then I can touch the ground for just a bit longer. Is this where the big tree is? It's a tower, but it's not the big tree. Well, I guess while we're still able to touch the ground, we can look for the biggest hilltop that we can find. But as you can see, we are starting to float away here. Oh, I've definitely greened ground now. I am way up over the ocean. When I said I wanted to get ups like those frogs, this is not what I had in mind. That's the setting sun over there, right? That's not the moon, is it? Guess I can slowly turn around and have a look. I think that might be the moon. It looks like it might be rising right now. Well, I've got the skyline over here that we were looking at earlier. The stars. And oh, that skyline is looking bigger and bigger now. And that is definitely the moon. I'm seeing some shooting stars too. Well, let's try to move our way over to the moon then. Oh, the landscape is turning red again because it's dark. There's a lot of fog in the way, but I think we're almost through it. This has been a very foggy island in pretty much all of the seasons. I was surprised. Oh man, maybe it doesn't end. Fog everywhere. But I guess even if we can't go like straight past it, we'll probably be above the fog soon enough. I think I just wait it out. I think I'm not making much progress going through the fog straight on, so let's see if I can gently float above the fog in time. At this point, it's probably nothing but fog below me too, huh? Oh yeah, I'm trying to look down, and all I'm seeing is orange. If we didn't have that little crosshair turned on in the middle, we wouldn't even be able to see what I was doing just now. think we're over the fog now. So let's make our way to the moon. I think that's all we really can move toward at this point. For a moment there, I couldn't even tell if I was moving forward toward the moon, so I kind of backed up a little bit, and you can see I actually am. If I back up, and then go forward again. So it might not look like we're getting closer, but we're definitely moving past the fog at the very least. But no matter how much closer you get, the moon is still that much further away, huh? What's below me right now? Let's take a look. There's probably nothing to see but fog, right? Yeah, it's like the land was never there. All we have is us and the sky. This night sequence has really been taking quite a long time. Oh, but there it is. I was gonna say that the moon was getting higher and higher, so I figured the night was over soon. Alright, so we've closed our eyes, and that was Proteus. Okay, so thank you everybody for joining me for tonight's ambient evening stream of Proteus, whether you watched it live or watching it back as a highlight later. This was a playthrough on what the game would call, I believe, actually let me check in the options. That's what it would be, a wild regeneration of islands. Oh, I actually had it set to always, I didn't realize that, so that's why we got a wilder island this time around. Which, made all of the time in the game move half as fast as usual, so that was a much longer stream than I had planned, but I guess everything about Proteus is a teachable moment in that we weren't planning having the game take that long, but we took the opportunity the game gave us and we wrote it out, so thank you for joining everybody. I don't know exactly when my next stream will be and whether it'll be an ambient game or a Pokemon Vietnamese Crystal final battle preparation stream, but either way I hope you can join me for the next stream, whatever that might be. It'll probably be in the evening, so around the time that tonight's stream began, because I won't be able to stream during the daytime for a while. And I guess one last thing I'll say before I go is that as I said earlier in the stream, the recent months with just the global pandemic and the circumstances it's left us in, it's been a particularly challenging time for me mentally, and for a lot of other people around the world, of course. So there's a lot of isolation and uncertainty that's come along with the pandemic and what we as societies around the world have had to do to cope with it. So what I encourage people watching to do, kind of like what I've done by setting aside time to play this game tonight, is that I believe that every day, whether it's in the evening before bed or in the morning or sometime in the midday, I encourage you to set aside some time of the day to do something for yourself to help take your mind off things and help you relax, whether that's meditation or mindfulness practice, which is something that I do and I would encourage others to look into as well, or a relaxing game like this, or something that you know is a helpful practice to you. I think it's important to set aside at least a little bit of time every day to take care of yourself, because it can be kind of easy to lose sight of that and how important it is. So thank you everybody for watching tonight's stream of Proteus. My channel is twitch.tv/digitsbb, and I'll see everybody sometime soon. Take care.